right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another week's episode of Knockout Bets Podcast by Recliner Sports Report. I'm Mac, and with me, as always, Andrew. Andrew, how we doing? How was the cruise this past week, man?
Oh, it was epic. They're always a good time. I could do the commercials for, we always go on Carnival, so I can't speak to the other ones, but I could probably do Carnival's commercials for them. We had a great time. You are on a boat with the ocean breeze, the sun, warm weather. You can eat, drink, whatever you want. You have comedy shows, this, that, the other thing. And then, oh, by the way, you show up in some beautiful place in the world and you get to do something that's like a once in a lifetime experience. So, yeah, it was a great time.
That's awesome, man. I'm so pumped for you. Where did you go again?
So we went to Cozumel, Belize, and Costa Maya.
And what was your favorite place?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to have to probably go with, just because of what we did and what we saw, I'll go with Belize. That day we had an excursion where we went out and took a bus ride, then a boat ride. Boat ride was really cool and ended up at the edge of some water. I don't know if it's a lake or an ocean or whatever. And hiked into the jungle, and we got to see Mayan ruins that day that were like 600 years old. That was a pretty cool experience, and just the jungle itself was really beautiful. So that was probably my favorite place of the three, but we only saw specific parts of each place, so it's no knock on any of the other ones either.
That's awesome, man. Well, good. Well, I'm pumped. Sometimes you just need that. I'm sure you're feeling
totally
rested and relaxed and ready to go.
Yeah, we try to do it once a year before we have kids anyway, and it's a good recharge for sure.
Dude, heck yeah, man. All right. Well, today for today's episode, Andrew and I felt it was good to start with why we're doing this. I want to start by saying, thanks for all the love and support on what we've been doing. And now I'm starting to get a lot of questions like, what are you doing? Right? The videos are funny, or keep the change like we like, but like, what is it? And I think this is an opportunity for us to now that we've gotten some viewers and we have some people watching us, to just kind of explain what is Recliner Sports Report. So for me, Recliner Sports Report it was an opportunity for Andrew and I to work on something together and try to make something that we are both passionate about, but also try to find an angle and what's a way that we can give back, right? Both of us are in the non-for-profit world with our current full-time jobs, and so we were interested in creating something that could be into the non-for-profit world, but using sports media, something that we love, which is sports, and doing that, which is why we have Keep the Change. So what right. We're doing
keep
now,
that change when you win a bet, and keep that change, the positivity in the world.
Exactly. So where Andrew and I see ourselves taking this is being able to use our platform to be able to help charities, help people in need, help give back to the communities. That's really what we're about, and what we kind of want to do in the platform we want to stand on. Yeah, Andrew, go ahead, add some.
Oh, I don't know. I think you said it pretty well. We're here to have fun. We love talking about sports. We love betting on sports. And like you said, we want to work with charities and causes that we believe in, and give back to the community, and just spread positivity through sports and through sports betting.
Awesome. And just for our fans on like what to look out for next, definitely be on the lookout. We're on the ideas of, and we're just finalizing some things on. We want to start for me, one of the first charities that come to my mind is dementia. My grandma passed away from dementia back in 2018, and it's a hard, tough disease, and especially when it's someone you love, and to watch them go through that. So, um, a charity that we'd like to partner with, someone or some organization that's doing great work in terms of combating and helping fight against dementia, and starting that off with an event, and try to get into like a t-shirt drive with that. So those are on the way, definitely in the near future. But once those come out, please, it would go a long way to support um, our efforts, and again, helping keep the positive change going on in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a cause that's close to me too. And I think the science isn't even there yet. But, we're the Knockout Bets podcast, right? So we're talking about dudes getting knocked out and head trauma. And, that's not limited to MMA. That's boxing. That's football. That's hockey. That's any contact sport. I mean, I think there's even research out there showing that soccer players can get CTE just from heading the ball over and over and over. And what is out there seems like there's probably a link there too, and I'm sure we'll learn more and more over time as we go.
Yeah. So again, keep on the lookout. Keep smashing that like and subscribe. Keep sharing. Again, thank you for the support, and as always, keep the change. So before we start moving on with the fights, we did have me and Andrew were also talking, because on this card we really are only going to be talking the UFC fight night, Holm versus Vieira. We only have really two fights that we think are worth betting on, and at least worth the watch. Not that it's a weak
There's more
card.
than that that's
Yeah.
worth betting on, but these are the highlighted ones to talk
Yeah,
about for this
and
week.
and not any knock on any of the other fights. It's just there's really good weeks and good cards. And then there's sometimes you have cards that you think are good and aren't as good. I'm hoping this one's one of those ones where it looks like a lighter card, but it's still going to have some great fights. But these are the two that we like, because we also have some other things we'd like to talk about, which is we got the Preakness this weekend. And most importantly, I don't want to say it, Andrew, because I don't want to jinx us, but I think I have cracked the formula.
Yeah, we'll
Major
get to
League
that. That's a good
Baseball
teaser.
overs. All right. Awesome. So we got lots to talk about tonight. But before we get into the other stuff, let's talk about last week's fight card, Andrew. What we had: Jan Blachowicz versus Rakic. Go ahead, give me your thoughts and highlights on that card.
Yeah, I mean, starting from the bottom up, I'm sad that I lost money on Maximov to start off the card, betting him as a big favorite, but I mean, not too much to say there. Dude got caught in a guillotine. Tyra, I thought, was incredibly impressive. I mean, you had a guy who's coming in 10-0, but you hadn't really seen him against the stiffest of competition in promotions that we know of, and that sort of thing. He put on an impressive performance. I really think that dude's a prospect and somebody to be reckoned with. His striking was good, his grappling was good. We knew his grappling was good coming in, but I was impressed by his all around game. And that dude's only 22 years old. I think that's a guy that we're going to hear from later on down the line. I think, being only 22 and being relatively inexperienced, especially at higher levels of competition, hopefully the UFC plays it smart with him and brings him along slowly and doesn't try to rush him too quickly. So, in terms of, talking about being in the top 15 and working up to the top 5 and title fights and stuff like that, we're years down the road from that still. But he's a guy who looks like, to me, that he has the potential to go down that path, to maybe even 2 or 3, 4 years from now already be cracking the top 15, and working on up from there. I was really impressed by his performance.
Yeah, he looked really good. The only thing I was disappointed about was I had him for a finish, for a KO.
Yeah, well,
And
there you
he
go.
had plenty of opportunities, and he just didn't do it. So,
Yeah.
which again, I say that as if it's just as easy to do. But he did fight a good game plan. He dominated the whole round, and like you said, he's definitely someone to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
What
For
else
sure,
you got for
especially
us?
doing that 22 years old. One I'll just break my arm patting myself on the back for a second. And I think you actually had the same bet, so we both had it, so we can both pat ourselves on the back. Was Nascimento. That fight went how my read went on it. I had a bet on Nascimento. I said to you, we were talking a day or two ago, I read that one so well, and I just should have trusted myself to put a bigger bet on it, to put like 2 units on it at the plus 180 or whatever I had it at. So just pat both of ourselves on the back for that. I mean, Hadley, respect, but coming in, and Nascimento hasn't necessarily won every fight he's been in, but he's been in with some killers and held his own. So just a congratulations to both of us on having that one.
Great fight.
Yeah. To me, I don't know. I should have probably looked this up before I just talk out of my ass, but the fight of the night to me had to have been Davy Grant and Smolka. The way Grant came out and won round one, Smolka didn't look that great in round one. Looked like he was on his way to getting finished early in round two. Came back, won round two, and then the leg kicks just added up. And so that was an interesting finish to see the leg kicks add up like that. I think the corner even called it out, and then early in round three, Grant hits him with the leg kick that puts him down, and then dives on him for the TKO finish. That was an exciting fight. Both those dudes, I'm excited to see them fight again. I know a lot of people are down on Smolka, but I like the guy. I think he's got heart. I think he's talented. I hope he stays in the UFC and gets another fight. And Grant's got to be on a 4 or 5 fight win streak now, so we'll see some exciting things from him soon, especially because he's 36. But being the exciting style of fighter that he is, being on the win streak that he is, when we talk about Tyra being 22, and it's like hopefully the UFC brings him along a little slowly. Davy Grant's 36. We got to see him fighting some of the big dogs now. His time is not that much longer to be working his way up towards bigger and bigger fights. So I hope they kind of push him along a little quickly.
Yeah, for sure.
And then last one to hit on is the main event. I mean, we both had Blachowicz, so pat ourselves on the back again, another plus 180 underdog. That was an interesting finish. I mean, I think Jan was on his way to winning that fight any which way. I think he could have gotten a later knockout. I think he probably would have won the fight on points had it gone that far. It was definitely pretty close to even as long as it went. And it's interesting. It's super sad, obviously, for Rakic that to have the fight end the way it did, to blow out his knee like that. And it's a question. I mean, you made a good point to me when we were talking earlier. Is that from the accumulated leg kicks on the other leg, or is that just a sad thing where he put too much weight on it in the wrong way and it blew out? It's tough to know, but either which way, good win for Jan. He was looking good to me. I really think he would have won the fight had it gone longer. And I might be like the only one, but I want to see Jan fight Teixeira again. That's an old man fight. It's not necessarily two of the most exciting dudes out there, but they are, to me, the two best in the light heavyweight division now that John Jones is gone. And I want to see, it's tough to say either one of them is a legend because they haven't necessarily have like legendary careers, but they're both very, very solid veterans who have been around for a long time at the top of the division. And I'd like to see them have one more war.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the fight to make.
Teixeira's got to win first.
Yeah, I think.
I think you pronounce his name.
I think Jan definitely, though. Again, his biggest weakness, which was against Teixeira, was getting taken down and having to fight off his back and not being able to have a sense of urgency getting up. I thought on the feet, Jan was clearly the better striker of the night, and I think he really helped him with all those leg kicks at the beginning. That leg was disgusting. I do think, yes, the kicks to the leg, the front leg made Rajik have to overcompensate with the other leg, which, putting that much weight and trying to be explosive. And you were talking about, I know he even slipped earlier on. There had been 10 other fights on that mat before. Anything can happen sport. So you put all those things
Right.
together and it's bound to happen. Me and you were both there the same night that the Smith and Weidman, and then when Jimmy Crute got his knee blown out, both in the same night.
Right.
We've watched eye pokes, we've watched way crazier ways to end fights. You don't want to see it like that. You want to see it,
Yeah. I
but
mean,
like
you see
Jan
Conor
said,
McGregor
yeah,
break his
break his
leg in
leg.
that nasty. I mean,
Yeah, like
stuff
Jan
happens.
said at first, though, he said his body was in better condition. So, and I'll take that what it is. And I agree with you. I think it was close. I think Rajik definitely showed some dominance on the ground. And I think Jan was starting to tire him out and defend takedowns and started going to his game plan. It was really working. And
really
yeah,
chopping that leg. I mean,
yeah,
that was gonna had it gone to round 4 and 5, chopping the leg the way he was gonna pay
oh
off
yeah,
as
for
time
sure.
went on.
For sure. Well, either way, I'm super happy. But Jan's definitely got to have improve his ground game if he's gonna think that he has a chance against Teixeira, because you already know what Teixeira is gonna
You
do.
know what Teixeira is
You
gonna
know,
do exactly.
you know what he's gonna do. So there's no hidden game plan there. All right, man. Well, let's move right on to our card for this weekend. We have UFC Fight Night, Holmes versus Vieira. Such a great headliner here. This is awesome. It's always fun to watch Holly Holm step back into the octagon. The first fight of the night that we are going to break down is Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Michael Pereira. Ponzinibbio's coming in at 29-5, coming off a loss against Jeff Neal, and Michael Pereira is coming in at 27-11 with 2 no contests, and he's on a 4-fight win streak with his latest against Andre Fiallo. Andrew, give me your first opinions on this one.
Yeah, man, this one's tough. So I've always thought Santiago Ponzinibbio has been underrated. Like, he's been one of my favorite fighters that's under the radar for years and years and years. Like, going back to I'm looking to jog my memory here, but going back to 2017, fighting Gunnar Nelson. Even before that, Court McGee knocked him out in the first round. I mean, guy's been around for a long time. He's a veteran of the sport. He has a win over Sean Strickland back in 2015. He's beaten some really, really good fighters, beaten Neil Magny, beaten Miguel Baeza. The question with him is he took some time off before his last fight, and getting back in looked a little slower after that actually wasn't his last fight. It was 3 fights ago, but he had 2 years off at one point, and he's looked a little slower since he came back. He's getting up there in age, 35 years old. He's a really, really good striker. He's got good leg kicks. He's decent on the ground, decent defensive and offensive grappling. But really what he's going to try to do is throw combinations, throw leg kicks. He's pretty technical on the feet and going to try to outbox you, really, or kickbox. Michel Pereira, man, he is one of my favorite fighters to watch too. His style he's just got this crazy capoeira style. I mean, he does crazy shit in the cage. He will back up to the cage and do a Superman punch pushing off the cage. He'll do these crazy flipping kicks that I don't even know how to describe them in a technical term. He's just a wild man in there. And the book used to be on him that, okay, you survived that storm he's going to give you in round 1, and then he's probably going to gas out midway through round 2. but he has gotten better and better and better at controlling his gas tank as time's gone on. This is going to be his 40th professional fight, and he's still only 28 years old, which I think that's an important thing worth mentioning for Pereira. Is like, Ponzinibbio, we know what he is, and he is so good, and I wish he had been healthier at the prime of his career, because I think we would have seen him in some really exciting fights at that point in time. But he's 35 years old, and he may be at this point on the downside, while Pereira just continues to get better and better and better in every fight. And he's even won his last 3 fights all by decision, which is crazy to think about, because it used to be that, all right, you survive the first round and then you're going to gas him out and probably beat him. So I am going with Pereira. I think he's going to have a little bit of a size advantage in the fight, also, which I think is going to make a difference.
Got that
he's
leg
the
reach.
younger, yeah. He's the younger guy. He's the guy who's on the way up, where Ponzinibbio is maybe he's not on the way down yet, but he might be plateauing at least. I'm going with Pereira. I do think the line being close to a pick'em is accurate. I think this is a very, very close fight that really could go either way. I think Pereira has a little bit of an advantage on the ground. I think Pereira has advantage power-wise. Pereira is not super technical with his striking. He's just going to hit you with crazy shit, and he's going to hit you hard. So Ponzinibbio definitely has the better technical striking advantage. But I think Pereira just all around is a tiny bit better, and we're seeing him continue to get better as he goes. And so my pick, and I haven't bet it yet, I probably should do it soon, because the line keeps seeming to creep towards Pereira more and more, and probably will continue to through the week. But I will have a bet on Pereira. I'll probably do it right after the show so that I get it in soon.
Dude, let's go. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm with you on Pereira. And just to match up to some of the stuff you were saying, right? Statistically speaking here, so significant strike, the categories on significant strikes, which are landed per minute, significant strikes, absorbed per minute, defense, they're splitting it 2-2, right? Out of the 4 categories, both have advantages in 2. Ponzinibbio's got the landed per minute slight advantage 4.79 to 4.71, so we're talking slight volume there. But Pereira's got the advantage on the significant strikes landed percentage, which is 55%, which is crazy to think when the amount of weird stuff that he throws. Then we say absorbed per minute. Pereira takes less per minute, takes less shots, but
that's interesting.
Ponzinibbio has a 1% defense percentage, which means he's
pretty even.
He's so right. So pretty right. So at that point, right, you look at that, you're like, wow, how can you tell? Because those are even. So you have to turn then to the grappling, which is what you were saying. He has a slight advantage, but it's slight enough to give the plus sign to Pereira, which is why I'm gonna take him, and why I think you're right on that one. I think you mix in the crazy stuff that he does. You mix in the ground advantage there. That's a lot of stuff you got to worry about. And it's not like boxing where you're just worrying about someone punching you. And, nothing against Ponzinibbio. He's prepared for this. He knows what he's doing. He's a top 15 fighter. But I think Pereira has shown a lot in his last 4 fights. And I think you're right. I think Pereira's. I've loved watching the last couple fights. I think he's ready for this one. I think he's shown that he's improved his gas tank. He's found out how to be a better version of himself. He's evolved over all these fights. It's going to be fun to watch. No matter what, it's going to be a banger. But I do think Pereira. I think you're right on this one, and I'm agreeing with you. I think Pereira.
I just found another bet for this fight, by the way, while you were talking, because this just seems off to me. So you can get under 2.5 rounds at plus 140 for this fight. So they're saying you got minus 180 at it going over 2.5 rounds. My spidey senses just say this is not going over 2.5 rounds. I mean,
you said it's 2.5 right now?
2.5 rounds
plus 140?
Plus 140. And neither one of these guys, like, they're both really great offensive strikers, and neither one of them has great striking defense. And so the chances of one of them putting the other out, I think, are definitely better than plus 140. I think that's a bet that I'm definitely gonna throw some money on once we get off the show. I
I
mean,
like it.
Pereira, with all his wildness, and Ponzinibbio, for as good of an offensive striker as he is, his defensive striking, and let alone the crazy power shots that Pereira throws, I think you could see somebody get finished here definitely better than plus 140. I was looking at that line expecting it to be um, minus money for the under 2.5. So plus 140, I'm going to be all over that.
Yeah, I like that a lot too. All right. Our next fight of the night, we're going with the main event, and we're going with Holly, the preacher's daughter, Holm, versus Ketlin Phenomeno Vieira. Holmes coming in at 14-5. Vieira's coming in at 12-2. Both are both are coming off of wins in their last fights. Andrew, Holly's opened up as a huge favorite here. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think the line is right. I think Holly deserves to be the huge favorite here. Ketlin Vieira, take nothing away from her. She's a very, very good fighter. She's 12-2. She beat Miesha Tate in her last fight. She's beat Sijara Eubanks, who is one of my favorite women's fighters who just can't seem to get on a win streak, but I really like the way she fights, and I think she's really talented. Vieira is very heavy on the feet. She's kind of one of these plodding, moves forward step by step rather than being bouncy. She has a lot of power in her hands, and her striking seems to be getting better and improving. It definitely looked good in her last fight against Miesha Tate, much better than it ever has in her career before that. That being said, her striking does leave a lot to be desired. She has power, and that's about it. Is if she catches you with something heavy, she might rock you, but there's a lot to be desired technically. She is a primary grappler. Her game is really to get you in the clinch, to use her trips, to take you down, to lay on top of you and use her jiu-jitsu and work for improving positions and work for a submission. Holly Holm, we all know her. We all love her. We know her most famously from the head kick knockout of Ronda Rousey. We all know that she had a professional boxing career. She's a really good kickboxer in the ring. She moves really, really well, as you would expect somebody who is a really accomplished professional boxer to do. She also, which I think is the absolute key to this fight, has incredible takedown defense. I'm going to stop and start my video because now I'm back. So I think that the key to this one is going to be Holly's takedown defense. I think she's going to stay on her feet, and I think she's going to use her movement and her striking. And I think she has a huge advantage on the feet in this fight, and being able to keep it there, I think she's just going to pick Vieira apart little by little by little. She doesn't really, I mean, I know we talk about the head kick knockout against Ronda Rousey, but she's not really a super finisher, even though she's been in with some killers. She's been in with the best of the best for a long time. She's 40 years old now. I think the way to bet this one for me is not to lay the minus 250. It's to, and I'm trying to pop this line up here, but it's to bet Holly Holm by decision. I think she wins probably a pretty clear decision. I think she wins at least 3 rounds, if not maybe 4 or possibly all rounds of this fight. And I'm don't have the bet in yet, but I'm gonna look for the number and probably bet Holly by decision. Holly by decision, you can get it plus 100 right now. I like that number a lot.
Yeah, think you're right with the fighting styles there and what they need to do to win. In terms of the advantages, weirdly enough, the significant strikes are almost pretty accurate and even across the board. Same thing, they're split in like 2 categories each, but by like really small margins. And then I think the grappling, there's an advantage. I think Holm has shown that it doesn't really matter if you have a grappling advantage or you can submit people, because she could still knock you out because she's super powerful and technical with her striking. I do think this is really going to come down to, can Vieira get in there and stay up close and personal, and not let Holly pick her apart. I want to root for Holly. I know deep down she's proved over and over, time and time again, that she is a great fighter. I just hate betting against BJJ girls against strikers. Because again, it works for you and it doesn't. But the jiu-jitsu sometimes
about the takedown
defense. It really does come down. I think for the plus money, I think I'm going to rock Vieira, and that is nothing other than it's just plus money. I think this is very even fight.
It's good plus money too. You can get like plus 200, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think you're right on with that one. I'm going to rock with the Vieira on the plus money side on that. And you are so delayed right now, and I'm sure you've said like 100 things. Sorry, we only got 4 minutes left on this one before we have to start another one. It's okay.
No, I see myself normally.
Yeah, I see myself normally.
I see you. Do you see me now?
Yeah, I see you.
Okay.
I don't even know.
Do you see me normally now, though?
Yeah, it's all good. We're hitting up like 4 minutes anyway, so we have to start a new one. So, but yeah, man, I think that's the way to go with this one. All right. Well, okay. We'll be right back. I like our picks there. It'll be cool going head to head on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, I have a feeling Holly's going to win. That's fine. She does great.
I mean, she's a big favorite for a reason. Yeah. She's also been out of the cage. She hasn't fought in like a year and a half or more. So, right. And she's 40 years old. So, I mean, there are arguments to be made.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Well, next up, we might be able to do this in 3 minutes. Who knows? Next up, we got
knockout
the Preakness.
Bets. You want to do knockout bets?
Knockout bets. Let's go. Knockout bets. My knockout bet of the night is going to go to Mr. Preakness. I think he's going to get a nice slick KO, highlight reel.
Flashy, yep. something crazy, spinning back fist.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking wheel kick.
Yep.
Who knows what? Superman punch off the fence.
That's my KO bet of the week right there.
I like it. I'm going to go not with one of the fights that we talked about, but with the next one down the card from the 2 that we talked about. I'm going to take Chidi and Jukwani by knockout for 2 reasons. One is that he has the knockout power and the ability to finish guys. There aren't a lot of lines on that, but it's around plus 145. If I can get that line, I will be betting it. And the other is the guy he's fighting, Dusko Todorovic, has the most knockout-prone striking defense. I hate his striking defense. He does the striking defense where he leans back with his chin in the air, like just asking to get knocked out. So that's going to be my knockout bet for this week.
Awesome. All right, well, we're going to take a quick little commercial break there. Shout out to our sponsor, Can Shoot Productions. And you know what? Dale Perkowski over at F1 Contracting, you're going to get some love too. Go hit up Dale over at F1 Contracting in the Ohio area. If you're in the Florida area looking for some videos to get made, hit up Can Shoot Productions. All right, we'll be right back.
Back on the other side.
All right, and welcome back to Knockout Bets podcast with Mac and Andrew by Recliner Sports Report. All right, so Andrew,
Stretching and showing the Jets shirt because they had a
yeah,
good draft. They did one good thing in like the last decade.
they did have a great draft. The Jets, hey, they beat the Bengals, so you have bragging rights still. But
That's true. They did do that.
they did have a good draft. So I'm pumped for them on that one. So we were just talking a little bit off air there. Talk to me. What was your underdog pick of the week for UFC this week?
Yeah, so the underdog that I really like, if we were going to talk about like a lottery ticket bet to somebody to anchor it to, would be Eric Anders. I think he's got the all-around game. I don't know why this line is where it is. I got him at plus 190 and I bet him already. It's come down a little bit. It looks like it's plus 165, plus 175, depending which book you're looking at. But that line just seemed too crazy wide. So I'm really happy with the plus 190 that I got. And if you were going to look at like a lottery ticket type bet, it's really tough for me this week because I like a lot of the favorites on this card. So it's to just throw out something that's a lottery ticket type bet that I would like this week would be Anders, and then go Njokuani by KO, which is my knockout bet. Let's put that into the mix for the lottery ticket bet. And then, I mean, even like the third thing that I would look at probably adding is Michel Pereira, and he's around minus 120, but that's still going to bump your odds up pretty good if that's the third thing going into a three-fighter parlay. So that's not the craziest of crazy lottery tickets, but that's probably what mine is for this week.
I love it. Well, I'm saving my lottery ticket for my favorite type of sports gambling: horse racing.
Talk about it.
Horse racing, love it. It's just so. I'm pretty sure this is where my gambling addiction came from. When my dad would used to take me to the Greyhounds and the track down there when I was just a baby. And then by the time I could read, I was reading race programs and always trying to find an edge. And I just remember those days going with him and him giving me $20 and saying, hey, you say what horses you want or your dogs you want, and we'll see how long it lasts. And I just love it. So we got the Preakness going on this weekend. Super pumped. What a great Kentucky Derby finish for
Wasn't
Richard
that
Gregg.
the horse was like 80-1 or something
80 to
that won the
1,
Kentucky Derby?
80 to 1.
That's
Good for
crazy.
him. You can check out the video we have on TikTok and Instagram of me slowly crumbling, losing. Because of a mistake from the ticket counter, I actually did end up winning money on that because I did have Epicenter to win place and show. So I still got his place and show. But that was because I thought he was I thought White Abario was the 3-horse. And so when I put that bet in, it was win place and show on the 3. I messed up there and I got my numbers mixed up, so I ended up winning. So it was great. It was super fun. But some horses to look out for. So I like this race. It's only 9 horses. Okay, the Derby gets up to around close to 20 horses. I like this
Right.
because
There's crazy amount of horses in there.
I'm in this style of gambling. I like to in this game. I really like to hit trifectas. For those of you who don't know what trifectas are, trifecta is when you take 3 horses, and you can either pick one to come in first and the other 2 in second and third in any order, or you do what I do is you pick 3 horses you like and then you trifecta box them, which means that either one of those horses can come in first, second, or third. So an easy one right off the bat. It's not going to get you good plus odds. You're still going to get some odds. And again, it's all going to depend. This is just the early lines right now. So it's really going to all depend on what they go off at post time. But the 3 favorites right now, and something that I'm definitely going to be betting because this is how I like to bet on horses, and it has, not huge returns, but it hits more frequently than not. But I'm going to do a trifecta box, and that is going to be the 4, 5, 8. So that's Secret Oath at the 4-horse early voting at the 5, and Epicenter with the 8. Secret Oath's going off at 9-2. Early voting's going off at 7-2, and Epicenter's going off at 6-5. So those are your 3 favorites. Putting them all together, doing a nice little trifecta box with that. Now,
Yeah, 6-5. That's a pretty big favorite right
Yep,
there.
yep, 100%. And I'm actually upset because a week ago it was 3-1, and I wish I could have locked in a 3-1. But again, horse racing is going to change consistently. So especially if you're betting at the track, you're not going to get the odds that you bet at. You're going to get the odds that it goes off at. So unless you have a book like DraftKings that's going to lock in on odds, you wouldn't have got that anyways, because this thing will probably be bet down because it's the early favorite. It'll probably
That's interesting. I didn't know horse racing worked that way. So when you put in a horse racing bet, you get whatever it goes off at. Yep. when the race starts. You don't get whatever you lock
when you go when you bet it at the track. When you're betting it through like DraftKings and stuff, you're going to get the odds at what they're at.
Right.
Okay. But yeah, when you're at the track, you're going to get it off at what it goes out. So actually, you can really start. I actually ran into that to a couple weekends ago. I was standing in line behind a guy, and he bet this horse that was 2-1 odds, and I liked the 6-5 odd horse, and he threw $75 on that thing, and I was sitting there, and I'm like, he knows something.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and bet. I decided to scroll down mine and only bet about $20 on mine. And sure enough, his horse won. And I just knew he was onto something. But that he had bet himself.
Yeah, some kind of read.
He had bet himself down to 1-1 odds. So actually, he hurt himself because he'd bet that. But anyways. That's my like solid pick. That's where I feel safe. I really like that one. I do like Epicenter a lot. I'm probably going to do a win, place, and show, which means you're going to get the prize for its first, second, and third. If it comes in second, you get second and third. If it comes in third, you get the third, the show money. So I like that bet. A $5 win, place, show bet's going to cost you $15. You'll get all 3, so it's $5 per bet. I'll probably crank that up a few more dollars, but it should be a good one that I like. But if you're looking for a big lottery ticket, well, you go right back to what happened in the Derby. You take the biggest favorite and you put it with the favorite, or the biggest favorite and you put it with the biggest underdog. So this is the underdog, favorite, exact, the box, and you're going to go with Fenwick going off at 50-1, and you pair with Epicenter going off at 6-5, and you hope that exact same thing happens last time, which is Fenwick doesn't even need to win. It just needs to get in second, and Epicenter needs to win or come in second, and Fenwick needs to come in first. So either way, I like that. I'm going to do that. It's a big lottery ticket. Cash it in. There's also some other, if you're looking for some other big ones, you got Happy Jack coming in at 30-1, and you have Skippy Longstocking, which is a great name, coming in at 20.
That is a great name.
This has been a tough Triple Crown so far because Bob Baffert's not in it. And I usually am repping the Bob Baffert horses, so I've actually had to do some research. I can't wait to really get down the past performances, which shows race times, finish times, power, all that other stuff, to really start finding some things that I like. But I think if with a small field, I think trying to hit a trifecta is your best bet here, because you only need 3 of the 9. So you have a 1 in 3 chance of really hitting if you can find the right horses that you like.
I like it.
I know.
Dwayne Lucas. That's a name I recognize. I feel like he's won the Kentucky Derby or something.
Yeah.
I don't know much about horse racing, but I'm just looking
O's,
through like
that's Secret O's trainer. So that's a good one. Definitely someone to look out for. And you'll be up here.
If it's a trainer, yeah, exactly. We're gonna watch it together. This is gonna be fun. I might tell you on some bets or something, because I know nothing about horse racing, but want to have fun. Oh yeah, responsible. We'll throw a few dollars around.
You say this, and this brings us to our next segment. So we've been struggling with if we want to release this to the public or not. I'm afraid to release it because I'm afraid that gambling.
I'm wondering what you're gonna say next.
That gambling, that bookies and the agencies are gonna get onto our hack and try to trick me here.
Yeah. Okay. Here you go.
But if there is something you should tail me on, Andrew, it's our new MLB formulas that I have degenerately came up with, that I've had some massive numbers over the last
You've hit like
month of games.
60 out of 70-something bets on it, which is an insane percentage.
Out of 76 games, so 76 games that we've bet, 60 of them have hit.
That's an insane number.
60
Insane.
60 out of 76. That's why I'm afraid to say what we're doing, because I'm afraid that the lines, they're going to trick us. But you know what? Here's what it's all about, baby. So I've come up with all right, I was watching Dave Portnoy. Man, he was talking about why he bets gray horses, right? It's because they're genetically faster. And he said, you got to find your formula and you got to stick to it. Just bet
I
your
mean,
formula.
that can't be true that they're genetically faster. That's just some BS that he made up. But if it works for him, then it works.
Right? And find the formula. So, and then Jersey Jerry from Barstool too, he'll always tell you, find the patterns. So I started taking this to heart, and it started with spring training. Okay, now spring training is a little different because pitchers get lit up all the time there, and then you got
Yeah.
some. It's hard to really tell what's going on. And I missed a bunch early. You know, I took some really high overs like 9s and 10s, and it, you know, at plus odds, and it wasn't, you know, again, what didn't have much return. So I started watching some of the scores, and again, I can't tell you one pitcher in the MLB. I can't. I can maybe pick
You could
one.
name one. Come on now. Max
Bumgarner.
Scherzer. Yeah, there you go.
Bumgarner.
Bumgarner. There
Don't
you
even know
go.
his first name.
Madison.
Okay, so you got that. Okay, but don't worry, this doesn't have anything to do with pitchers. And then I say, okay, well, the hitters. Well, I don't even really know who's doing that well, like hitting, what their percentages are. What I started to notice is that there were lines, okay, where if the over was 8 or less, so 8, 7.5, 7, 6.5, anything 8 or less, and it was favored to hit. So we're looking at a minus 120, minus 115s. Sometimes I even took a couple minus 110, so those were just pick'ems. But if it was those three, I said, okay, I'm going to start placing a couple units on that. Since doing this, out of the 76 games that I have bet on, 60 of those games have hit that formula. Now, of
So
course,
that
there's
is, let's do the math here real quick. 60 out of 76. That is like a 79% hit percentage, which is insane.
it's scary. And again, I don't even know what we've stumbled upon. All I do know is that I'm riding it. I'm continuing,
Right.
and it
I mean,
just
we've
hit.
talked about some of the things. So, like early in the season, the pitchers don't go as late into games, so you're dealing with a lot of middle relievers. But I mean, that's so obvious. You think the bookies would catch up to that, and we're starting even now to get, you know, we're 6, 7 weeks into the season, so we're starting to get away from that. You're starting to see, you know, starters who have good games go into the 6th, 7th, 8th
Yep.
inning. So
Another
that
thing
could
we're
maybe explain it early in the
another
season, but
another thing we were talking about is the balls have changed, and the pitchers are having a harder time keeping control of the ball.
that's true
The
too.
Mets
Yeah.
have become the most hit team in MLB right now because of, and it not even intentional throws. We're talking about just misfires. So now you say, okay, well maybe they have a lack of control on the ball, and the hitters are getting more hits. Again,
Well,
we
so
don't.
yeah, I mean, lack of control over the ball because a lot of people, casual baseball fans especially, don't realize how much precision. I mean, casual fans of any sport don't realize how much precision goes into any sport at the elite highest level. I mean, when you talk about MMA, you're talking about fractions of a second between, you know, blocking a punch and taking it straight to the chin and getting knocked out,
Right.
as one example. In baseball, the pitcher's precision to be around the corners of the strike zone instead of throwing the ball right down the middle where it's going to get hit 450 feet. I mean, if you're talking about a baseball that you can't grip as much, maybe they're leaving it over the middle a little bit more and getting hit harder. So, you
Right.
know,
So
not just plunking batters. It could be not having that pinpoint control.
yeah, so you add a lot of that in there, and now, okay, now this is starting to actually kind of make sense. Right now, it's like the patterns are chasing.
Maybe. I mean, we have theories, but how do we know if
How
any
do
of
we
them
know?
is correct or
Now,
not? We don't. We just know the bets are hitting.
the last piece of all this is now that I've bet 76 games, I've now started to see what teams are actually giving up, averaging like a lot of runs that are given up. So some teams, now if you don't believe it fully, here are just some teams to look out for that get lit up or are having some good hitting.
Oh, bet against the Pirates for sure. I can tell
Bet
you
it.
that one.
Bet, if the over is 8 or less in a Pirates game and it's favorite, take
Slam
that.
that.
That's free money. Reds, free
Reds
money.
are bad.
Brewers have been lighting some people up, but have also been getting lit up, free money. The
Which is
Mets,
surprising though, because the Brewers have some good starters in the rotation, so
they do.
maybe caution there.
The Mets have been one of the hottest teams in baseball.
Bad at hitting wise, yeah.
And then you got the Dodgers and the Giants have been really lighting people up too on the scoreboard. So you take all those teams.
Dodgers, no surprise. Giants are a
Yeah.
huge surprise so far this year.
So you take all those teams, you start seeing those patterns. You start seeing when their overs are set at that 8 or less number, and you see that the bookies favor it. And I've been mixing it up between slamming some like just straight money on it. One, I've taken the 2 and 3 team parlays, and honestly, some saviors, bud, for these last couple weeks. Some big saviors have been some 5-teamers that have smashed for some big dough to really like week changing bets. You know, we're talking Owen to not Owen type style bets on a Sunday night baseball, all with, again, this formula. So again, I don't know what it is. I don't know how long it's going to last, but if you want to keep, well, I'm going to keep sending you the overs. You guys are going to get them whether you like them or not.
You're hitting 79% of anything. It's probably a good thing to ride with for at least a little longer.
Yeah, right. Until it starts going back down the other way. But that's what I like about it. See, you know, I can, you know, spend a half a unit on one, or I can throw, you know, if you're 3-teamers, you can put a unit down, and if, you know, maybe your single one doesn't hit, the other one's getting you plus. So it's again, like I said, it's a degenerate method, tail with caution, but I feel good about it. I feel great.
So let me ask you, betting wise, how do you feel about the NBA playoffs?
The Celtics, because there's no other reason why. The Celtics are the balls. I'm telling you right now, man. And I'm from Florida, so you know I'm a Heat fan, but
okay, but full disclosure, you live in the Boston area now.
I live in the Boston area now, and the Celtics are the balls. Oh man, I was just checking the score. They're up right now. What is that? Let's see, 58-48, buddy, going into. Still a minute left in the first half, and they're down.
This is game 1 for anybody who's listening later. We're recording on Tuesday.
They are down Smart and Horford today, and they're still doing well.
Smart and Horford are both out?
Yeah.
Wow.
Horford had COVID, and Smart has an injury. So I think an ankle or something with his leg from the last game. So, yeah, the Celtics are a hot team right now. But if I got to be honest, I think the Mavs are scary with Luka. But I think the best team in the league, like overall depth and amount of talent, is got to be the Warriors. I think that they're
no doubt.
They have, again, you look at really what happened with the Bucks is Giannis. They realized Giannis is a one only person on that team, and they don't have a number 2.
Well, Middleton was injured. That was part of the problem.
Yep. You look back at the Celtics, and you know Tatum and Brown are doing their thing. Horford's been playing out of his ass, but good for that guy. And Marcus Smart's always played great defense and has been a role player. And you know they're a good depth team, but none of those guys who at the beginning of the season are going to be the guys that everyone's talking about. You look at the Warriors, and they have people that we've been talking about for years, and they got a great coaching staff. But, you know, this is kind of looking like the Bengals again with the Celtics. Is like, you know, they're young enough to not know what they don't know. They got a first-year head coach. They've already proven it in 2 games this series, 2 games in this champion, in this playoffs, that they can sweep the Nets, who is most talented team, and then they can take the title away from the defending world champ. So I
Yeah,
like the
it's two
Celtics.
impressive series wins for sure.
Yeah, I like the Celtics, but I think the Warriors are scary. I think Mavericks are going to fall into what just happened with the Bucks against the Celtics. I think Luka, he's great. I just think when you up against that many good players, a team ball is always going to beat the one man show.
Well, you're not
What
leaving
about
me a
you?
whole lot to say because I agree with single thing you just said. I'll give you a bet, which is a bet in kind of agreement with what you just said. Is I bet I took this yesterday. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. I bet I bet Warriors over Celtics in the finals, and I got that at plus 290, and that's before starting the game one of the Celtics that's on right now. I took that before either of the series started. I like that a lot at plus 290. That was like they had it was on FanDuel. They had every possible matchup, like this team over this team, this team over this team. That was the favorite matchup. But at plus 290, I like that number.
That's
I
it.
agree with everything you said about the Celtics. And, you want to talk about a one man show. Jimmy Butler's pretty much a one man show with the Heat. I mean, obviously, they have other good players. They wouldn't be in the Eastern Conference Finals if they didn't. Um, but, Jimmy Butler's definitely the leader of that team. And if they can shut him down, that'll go a long, long way to shutting the Heat down. And like you said, I mean, the Warriors, you take the Warriors, basic, not the same team, but the same superstars that have been winning championships, and then added Kevin Durant and won more championships, and now you take Kevin Durant away, and they probably still can win a championship. And I mean, you got to give credit to some of the guys that are new there, like Andrew Wiggins has come in, and you talk about a guy who was like the number one overall pick, kind of was a bust as a number one overall pick, but now really, really found his role as like the third scorer on the Warriors, and can carry the team for a stretch or two. And you have Draymond Green, who I feel like Draymond Green gets so much attention for like the dirty plays he has, like kicking dudes in the nuts and running his mouth. And I actually feel like most of the time when he runs his mouth, he's right, and he's just saying stuff that other people are too afraid to say. Um, but he gets a lot of attention for that kind of stuff, and really, he's like the glue of that whole team. I
Yeah.
mean, he's the guy. He is leading the team right now in the playoffs in rebounds and assists. Like, what other guy on what other team is leading the team, leading what we're saying and what most people agree is the best team left in the playoffs right now in those two categories, in rebounds and assists? Like, just his all around game and the way he glues that team together, because you have Steph and Clay, the shooters, and then you have Wiggins, who can kind of slash to the basket and also has the jump shots and this and that, but you have Green, who's an underrated facilitator. I don't know if he's underrated on defense and rebounding, but he's really, really good at those things and doesn't necessarily always get the credit that he deserves for them. um, so yeah, I'm with you. I think the Warriors are the favorite. I also think the Celtics are going to take out the Heat. And I've got the Warriors in the finals.
I'm just hoping the Celtics win because that's going to be some good content. We're definitely going to that parade.
Oh yeah, that'll be a good time.
All right, man. Well, yeah, if you guys and girls are feeling lucky on the Derby, keep a lookout for, or the Preakness, keep a lookout for some of our other bets. Keep following us on these overs, and going to be exciting to see what happens with the NBA playoffs. All right, man. Any final words?
Hey, looking forward to this weekend. We're going to be hanging out Boston style this weekend with a couple of our other friends, so that's going to be a good time.
I know, right? Maybe we should start looking for some tickets to the game. No, right? I know Fenway's going like 4 tickets for and 4 hot dogs or something like that for 99 bucks. It'll.
Yeah, baseball teams always do those promos. I mean, there are worse things we could do if teams in town on Saturday night or whatever.
I love it. All right, man. Well, I can't wait to see you this weekend. Thank you all for watching. Um, Stay tuned for next week, and remember to keep the change.
Keep the change.